Well, we've been hearing about how I've seen their stats. They got like 49 stops behind the line, 17 sacks. So they're obviously very aggressive. Just talk about trying to deal with all that in preparation.
It's very tricky. Texas State's done a really good job of creating negative plays in a variety of different ways, and just the different presentations that they give you. It really tests your communication, tests your rules, and it creates a big challenge for the offenses they face. And I think they're well coached, and week by week, they've had a really good plan, and it shows up.
I mean, are they just blitzing from all over the place, or how would you kind of describe what they've done?
They got guys coming from everywhere. So, like I said, they do a really good job of making sure that your rules are tested. And I think that their staff does a really good job of scheming people up every week. So it's all the variations they do, all the movement, the pressures, the line games, all that stuff is very, very tricky.
Who do they, whether it's you coaching against someone or you're coaching alongside another defensive guy that kind of ran a similar scheme, do they remind you of anyone?
From the individual plays that they've run, there's a lot of different things that throughout the past that certain teams will run. You'll see a little bit from this opponent, a little bit something from that opponent, but I think as a whole, they've kind of got their own identity on defense.
How big of an issue or a concern is just, I'm sure they're doing, if they're that aggressive, they're doing a lot of, they're trying to get you to jump off sides and false starts and all. Is that something they've done, or is that not a big concern?
You go turn on the film, it seems like every 4 or 5 plays, they're generating a false start, and they've been really good at that. And that's one of the point of emphasis that we have this week, that we've got to be disciplined. Whether it's a stem, whether it's the way they move, how fast they move before the snap, whether it's their verbal move cue, we've got to be locked in and not let that affect us. And so that's another way that they've done a really good job of always keeping the offenses backed up in bad, down and distance situations.
With some of the shuffle on the right side of y'all's line, how's everybody doing health-wise,
Yeah, everybody's
continuity
back.
standpoint?
Everybody's back. Jax had a little hand deal that we had to get fixed. He missed the Buffalo game, but we moved George inside for that game, and James started right tackle, did a really good job for us, and then we got Jax back and moved George back out to tackle, and again, like I told you guys back in fall camp, that continuity matters. And just having the main lineup back in, it showed up. And so I'm glad that right now we're all healthy, and we're going to move forward as planned.
How did George handle that going back and forth?
It was pretty easy. Last year he started 6 games at right guard, and he had to start a couple games at right tackle. Started for State at right tackle because Carlos was injured. His history with that position, his history with the technique, made it really easy. For us, that was just an easy fix for us.
How much are you guys anticipating, or maybe even lobbying? Because I know how offensive linemen's minds work, but obviously their offense is very predicated on the explosive play, quick hits, try to score. Maybe for you guys, it's more beneficial to kind of grind the game down a little bit and maybe run behind the big guys up front. How much are you anticipating just trying to establish long drives that eat up a lot of clock this week?
Well, that's a better question for Coach Dez. He's the play caller. But at the end of the day, whatever play he calls and whatever sequence he calls it, we got to execute. That's going to be the biggest deal. And I've told these guys today, we started the game plan process. It's going to be about us not only physically executing our blocks, but communicating the variety of looks and the different presentations that Texas State's going to give us. And we've got to cover all that stuff up. And whatever it is, run, pass, doesn't matter. Whatever's called, whatever stage of the game, whatever down and distance, we got to go and get it done.
So with everything that you're telling me that they're doing, have you thought this week, man, I'm glad we didn't play them in week 2 last season? Because y'all are much more prepared for this now than I would think that y'all were.
Well, I hope so. We'll find out on Saturday.
But I mean, is this the biggest mental challenge y'all have had this year?
It is. The experience with having Landon has played as much as he has, and then having these guys have the play experience. When you face a defense that has all those variations and all the different ways they can junk up your plays, having experienced guys, it makes a difference. And whenever you have to play young guys that really aren't sure or don't have the experience of seeing certain looks, then it's a problem. But you know, I do think that you know, we're going to, you know, accept that challenge, and I think we'll as the week goes on, we keep preparing and you know, keep trying to iron out a few things from an identification standpoint. I think we'll be ready.
What has been the biggest difference, if anything, for y'all up front with just the difference in quarterbacks?
Really, from how we operate, there is no difference. And so, like I told them, you know, in fall camp, it doesn't matter who's running the ball. It does not matter who the quarterback is. You know, there's a standard expectation of how we're supposed to play up front, and that's just how we're going to do it. And every week, these guys have, you know, met the expectations. Each week, each game we played, there's been a specific challenge to that opponent, and they have. Man, they've attacked every challenge, and so far I'm really proud of how they played in the first 5 games. Obviously, there's still some things that we got to continue to get better at as we get going. There's still, you know, a lot of ball left to be played. So, but right now where we're at, I'm proud of how they're playing.
How much were y'all able to get from like maybe Texas, San Antonio, or some of the teams that had a little success against them? Maybe are they at all similar to the way y'all block, or what did you kind of grab from those?
We look at all games they played, all games, you know, the coordinator has called, and you know, we study everything. And from that standpoint, we leave no stone unturned, and we've grinded on a lot of tape, and just to be sure that, you know, we're looking at the right things, you know, we're calling things the right way, that we want to block things a certain way, and certainly you always pull from what different people have done. You get ideas, and you know, you look at a certain opponent and say, hey, this was good, and you know, maybe this wasn't so good. And but at the end of the day, you know, we've got to fit all that information and tie it into our identity and who we are on offense.
I know I assume that quarterbacks and centers play a very large role in identifying particular players and the, you know, defensive setup. I mean, could you have multiple guys, you know, kind of assist with that, you know, Saturday afternoon
Sure.
to try to identify guys that may be coming?
Sure. You know, it's you know, obviously everything starts with the center and everything works inside out. You know, obviously the tackles play a really big role in what's going on in the perimeter and making some call adjustments. Obviously the quarterback also has a role in that. So, you know, it's not just the center and quarterback. You know, we all those guys to some degree have a part to play in that communication process.
But is this like where Landon as the center like the most important?
Oh yeah, 100%.
This year, like this is gonna be big.
100%. Yeah, he's been money.
Anything else, Coach? Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Good luck.